Welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions. It's our usual time slot for the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. That's the Washington DC Region chapter of the Sports Car Club of America. But we're doing something a little bit different this week. It's a special event, a mid-season fun race, non-points, just racing for glory around Long Beach in the Formula V. It's going to be a fun time for sure. Bringing it to you live here on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel. It's me, Reese Gardner, with Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the commentary box. Zippy, we do love our Formula V racing. Haven't seen FVs at Long Beach before personally. I don't know if you have, but I think we are in for a treat.
Absolutely, Reese, and certainly myself, I'm a big fan of racing the Formula V. I find that despite the fact it is a slower car, they're probably going to use 2, maybe 3 gears. Definitely not going to use 4 around here. I'd be very surprised if they did top of 3rd. I honestly don't even know if they're going to go down to 2nd after they've started it. It really is a quite a simple car to get the hang of, but don't get me wrong, the racing in the Formula V is absolutely fantastic, Reese. You will see, without a shadow of a doubt, battles on the line here tonight in WDCR.
Yeah, I've driven the Formula V plenty. It's one of my favorite cars to race, so I'm really looking forward to this, honestly, seeing what these guys can do in this car. It's the sort of car that you can only really use 3rd and 4th gears in. I think even in the final hairpin, they probably won't go down to 2nd gear. It's an insane car and an insane track for it, honestly. I think Long Beach might actually be wide enough for plenty of side-by-side racing in this car.
Absolutely reached. But speaking of Long Beach, let's see indeed where we've been and indeed where we're going. We started off at Virginia International Raceway before heading over to Summit Point. Cadwell Park, my home track, ladies and gentlemen, on my sister's birthday, ironically, for round 3 with Mid-Ohio for round 4, taking us to round 5, this special event. Round 6 is going to take us to Suzuka with 7 for Magny-Cours. Round 8, Spa-Francorchamps Water Belter, before heading over to more race-approved tracks of the Bend. Sonoma taking us to round 10, and indeed one of my personal favourites, Watkins Glen, for round 11. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be here at Long Beach.
We are indeed, and not much to talk about regarding standings and such, because this is a non-points event. This is basically a mid-season break event for WDCR's GT4 series. So it's just a chance for the drivers to kick back and have a bit of fun. But it is, once again, brought to you by many fantastic sponsors affiliated with WDCR. Let's take a moment to thank them quickly before we get into tonight's action. These local vendors supporting the club in many ways, starting with OG Racing, the official motorsports safety gear and equipment supplier to the Washington DC region, staffed by racers for racers. OG stocks everything from helmets, driving suits, shoes and gloves, seats, data systems, and top quality brake pads from PFC, Hawk, and Paget. With over 35 years of supporting racers, OG Racing has earned a reputation for providing exceptional customer service in the industry, staffed by an expert team that ensures you have the gear you need to go fast and stay safe. Visit their 1,200 square foot warehouse in Sterling, Virginia.
We also have, ladies and gentlemen, the Radial Tire Company, or Radial Motorsport as they're affectionately known, since 1976 have been proudly serving the DC area, providing quality tires and exceptional service. Renowned as the premier specialist in hard-to-find performance tires and wheel applications, they stock tires from top manufacturers ranging from trucks to sports cars and racing machines as well. Their mission is to maximize your vehicle's potential on the road and on the track. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go faster, honestly, tires is the best bang for buck for doing it.
For over 30 years, RP Performance has been at the heart of racing as a neighbour to Summit Point and standing out as the premier race car shop specialising in street and track Mazdas. In addition to track support and transport, RP is a full-service shop helping drivers with their racing and other track event needs. Known for their helpful attitude, RP works diligently to get cars back on track, ensuring positive experiences for all at all Summit Point events. RP's accrued many wins and championships within various classes under the RP Performance banner. So if you want performance, go for RP.
Well, indeed, that brings us to our next sponsor, and it's been a while since I got to do this one, ladies and gentlemen. Belmont Classic Cars is a family-owned dealership located in Eastern Ohio, specializing in classic American muscle cars from 1960s and the 1970s. They pride themselves on selling iconic rides and only offer cars that they would want to add to their collection themselves. Established in 2017, the owners Andy and Dana Mistad inherited their passion for cars from their fathers. Ladies and gentlemen, who didn't? And avid enthusiasts of Chevy and Ford vehicles. Outside of the family business, the entire family has been involved in racing from motocross, trophy trucks, and their new endeavor of road racing. And ladies and gentlemen, taking a quick peek on the website, it's been ages since I got to do this. It does look like they got a nice stock in of Corvettes at the minute. I see a 76 T-top Corvette in there as well. That's an automatic in red. But I scroll down, it gets better. There is a beautiful green one, 1975 in green, automatic, 47,000 miles, ladies and gentlemen. And if you scroll a little bit further down, a 1983 Camaro, again, automatic, 33,000 miles on that. That's basically a brand new car, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, a fantastic variety in there, as Reese tells us about the final sponsor for this evening's show.
Yes, Grand Touring Enterprises is an internationally recognized full-service classic automotive facility located in Frederick, Maryland, with a mission of keeping legends in motion. Their commitment to classic vehicles spans service, restoration, secure climate-controlled storage, sales, and consignment. Grand Touring also offers full collection-level consultation and management services alongside concours-level detailing. Their focus is on preserving the history and prestige of these vehicles and ensuring that the driving experience is equally spectacular and authentic. A huge thanks to all 5 of the major partners, sponsors, and supporters of the Washington DC region of the Sports Car Club of America. Let's get ready to get into tonight's action. So the drivers are in their qualifying session at the moment. 4 laps that they get to set their times for the grid over 8 minutes. And in the Formula V, a lap around Long Beach takes about 1 minute and 40 seconds. So you should be able to get at least 3 of those laps in, maybe 2 if you're a little bit late off the mark. Pickle Rick making his way down to the Fountain section here, and you really get a sense of how small these cars are from these onboards. If it was a GT or a prototype or your general sports cars that we usually broadcast here, you'd see the car taking up a lot more space. But this place looks wide as a motorway right now.
Yeah, Long Beach, honestly, considered one of the tighter tracks in the circuit, but as you were saying, the Formula V, there really isn't a lot to it. Based on a classic VW, I do know a couple of people in real life who actually run these, Eugene Cartini being one of them, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed, this fall, this winter, we will be having a... Oh, that's unfortunate. I guess that's the end of qualifying. I was getting all excited about that, Reese.
Yeah, that is a shame. Qualifying is completely done, and so we will have to wait a moment for Zippy's stories as we go through the grid for this one. Colin Denner, podium placer in the regular WDCR series, has pole position alongside Anthony Montello. Michael Montello up there with his brother in the top 3. Jack Chrissy, who topped practice, starts in 4th. Jake King starts out a 5th with Ken Housel in 6th, with Cooper Van Horn and Kevin Zhu rounding out your 4 rows there. Charles Miller and Darian Taggart will round out your top 10. And we only have a few more cars to deal with here. Louis Alessi in 11th, Tom Radford in 12th, and the 7th row of the grid being Wally, Wojciech Hajicek, and Kyle Lanunziata bringing up the rear there. Neither he or Wally set a time in qualifying. So a smaller field than we've become used to for WDCR, but nonetheless, the racing should still be good. If there's one thing that Formula V always provides, it's non-stop action.
Yeah, honestly, Reese, while don't get me wrong, the Formula V isn't my favorite car and Long Beach isn't my favorite track, I would honestly love to drive this race. It would be an absolute belter. Actually, I see Rob Campbell in the chat. I wonder if Rob could have snuck in on, had a little bit of a race in this one, as it looks like we may indeed be doing a standing start.
Yeah, it looks like we are. Green flag flies and we are away. And it looks like pretty good start from Colin Denner initially, but Anthony Montello manages to get it into the next gear a little bit quicker, and the momentum is pulled on the way into turn 1. This is going to be a big crush point here on this lap. The top 2 breaking away as they enter the braking zone. Montello going defensive. The slipstream kicks in very early in Formula V, so this is where you really need to make your money. Side by side into the fountain section. Montello's going to maintain the lead. One car goes tumbling over everyone else. My God, that is the biggest crash I've ever seen in a Formula V.
Okay, we're definitely going to have to check a replay of this one. I have a feeling Tom Radford got into a little bit of hot, sticky water there. He sees some contact. And I think, oh my gosh.
Ken Housel going through the air in a way that I have never seen before. What happened to him? So, looks like, oh, contact, and then my goodness, that is insane. I genuinely cannot come up with words to describe what I've just seen there.
Yeah, you see he ran a little bit wide there in the turn 1, but that's the least of his worries. As for lack of better words, he gets tossed out of the arena. And it's fair to say that is not the line he had in mind there for the first lap.
No, that is not. So Ken Housel will be mighty unhappy with how that's turned out for him. Jack Christie and Anthony Montello, on the other hand, they're going to be having a lot of fun here because the top 3 have stayed stuck together all the way through this first lap, and it looks like they're going to be fighting all the way through here. It's 2 15-minute races for tonight's running with a 3-minute warm-up in between, so we will have plenty of action yet to come. This top 3 have broken away, and well, Colin Denner at the moment in the blue striped yellow machine is going to have his hands full with Montello in front and Chrissy behind. Cooper Van Horn is all alone in 4th, and then a 3-car pack with Charles Miller, Darian Taggart, and Lewis Alessi. Those are the main battles on track at the moment. Let's see. Oh my God, Denner just finds space through there, hits the wall as Montello spins around coming out of sector 1.
Yeah, definitely got a little bit loose going over the curb there. Very, very easily done. But it looks like Charles Miller is going to have Darian Taggart and Louis Alessi right on his heels. Alessi is in a very good spot here. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen the Formula Vs before, that puff of smoke, that's unburnt fuel sticking out the back of that exhaust. Again, this motor was designed in, I believe, the 1950s. It's fair to say fuel injection was not a thing.
Yes, certainly. So if you see puffs of smoke coming up from cars, do not be concerned. It is not a bug, it is a feature. Jack Chrissy then will try and find his way back up to the podium places. Considering his pace, I'm sure that he'll be able to have a red-hot go of it. Lewis Alessi finds himself rounding out the top 5. There's Taggart ahead of him, and Charles Miller just getting the apex of the hairpin there. They're all the way down to lowest speed there, and it looks like they might be using second in the hairpin, but I'm not entirely sure from the audio. So yeah, this is a very weird gearbox in these Formula Vs. It is an old school H-pattern manual gearbox. You have to use the clutch on the upshifts, otherwise the car just won't get into gear.
Yeah, certainly it is a challenging vehicle in its own right, but don't get me wrong, very, very approachable as a new driver. The thing has, I think, maybe 50 horsepower on a good day, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, where's Brian Straczynski when you need him? Or indeed Eugene Cartini, he would definitely know there. But right now, Charles Miller is going to have to hold on by the scantily dressed car of the number 14, it seems.
Yes, indeed. It's your typical scheme
anime
that you often find from time to time, an anime scheme. Or it could be a gacha game or a visual novel or whatever people are into these days. Darian Taggart is having a good time at the moment, finding himself in 4th, up from 10th place. Oh dear. Oh, that's Van Horn that's gone around there. And, well, he'll keep it in gear and get it spun around. But turn 10 at Long Beach is certainly something you need to be careful of. Car was slow up ahead. I'm not sure who that was. I think it might have been one of the cars that came out of the pits. But Van Horn finding out that that wide entry into a tight exit is not ideal. And he almost got major damage from that. A couple of glancing blows.
Yeah, I do have to wonder as well if they turned damage off for this race. I'm going to say they probably didn't, as we're... Rob Campbell phrasing it... Oh, as Cooper Van Horn's had another little bit of an oops there. Rob Campbell phrasing it as enough meatballs and timing tower for a spaghetti dinner. Fair play. As right now, Louis Blessy, Jack Christie, and indeed Darian Taggart are all fighting, as is Anthony Montello as well. We have a four-way fight here for, I believe, P5.
For P3, actually. Jack Chrissy leading the charge there, but there's contact between Montello and Taggart, and Darian is sent into the wall. He'll get back going again just in time for Carlin and Ziada to arrive on the scene, but it's looking like this is going to be a bit more of a physical race than I was expecting.
Yeah, definitely it is. It is very hard to keep the limit of the V sometimes. When it does start to go, you're pretty much along for the ride at that point, as we do have a car on the inside right now of Anthony Montello. That is going to be Luis Alessi, ladies and gentlemen, or Luis. Depends how you say it. I'm not quite sure on that one, but certainly these two guys having a bit of a battle. Certainly Michael Montello, he's not having a good day so far, down 10 positions, and he does appear to be back out on track, thankfully, as does Ken Housel as well.
Yes, indeed. Housel back out there in 9th place. Heidechek in 10th. And unfortunately, they do not seem to... well, actually, they are. They do seem to still be on the lead lap. So that's fortunate for them. But they won't have much time to make up those positions. Charles Miller with Jack Christie behind him then for 2nd place. This is the closest battle on track, as Colin Denner has gotten out to a 6-second lead. And I mean, you saw him at the bottom of the frame just there. It doesn't seem like much distance in Formula Vs. That is a 6-second gap right there. In faster cars, that would be a lot wider.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see here lots of space being left here between the two drivers of Jack Christie, and indeed that is Charles Miller, ladies and gentlemen. This is the battle for P2. Looks like a little bit of a grace on the wall there, but I've got to say that Colin Denner, he's definitely he's in a banana mobile today, or you could even say the banana hammock, ladies and gentlemen. That sweet Chiquita out there in P1.
And coming up on a bit of lap traffic there. I think that might be Michael Montello. I'm not sure if he's... coming up on him there. Kevin Zhu is the only car that is still in the pits at the moment. Miller then trying to find his braking point. You brake so incredibly late in these cars. They don't have much power. They are very light. And so once you get on the stop pedal, you are at a standstill before you know it. So got to be careful how you manage the brakes in these things. And the rear end is quite snappy as well at times. This is one of those lower level cars that really teaches you how to control the rear end of a machine.
It certainly does, and honestly, a lot of the tracks you don't actually end up using the brakes, so you just give it a little bit of a lift, and that is indeed enough. So that looks like another incident there. I believe that's Cooper Van Horn. He is definitely not having his best day so far, but I've got to give him a shout out for his paint. That is a go-karting paint, ladies and gentlemen, a Birrell Art go-karting paint, as I believe he has indeed just retired.
Yeah, but it looks like Van Horn is done with the first heat there. Unfortunately, a bit too much damage to continue on. He might as well just have a rest and get ready for the second race. So Van Horn and Zhu are the only drivers in the pits right now, as Anthony Montello picks up the slipstream off Charles Miller, going for the inside into turn 1. The slipstream is so strong in Formula V, and then the move is complete into the first real corner of this circuit off Shoreline Drive. Here we go then. Let's see if there's any response from Miller, and if Montello can catch up to Chrissy. It looks like no one's catching Colin Denner right now, so this is where the battle's at.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, if these guys work together, they do have the potential of doing
Oh.
it. Charles Miller has just gone round, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to lose that pack. Louis Alessi now pulled away about 3 seconds on him. He may be able to catch up with Darian Taggart, who is now approaching on the scene of the crash. But ladies and gentlemen, Jack Christie, if he works together with Anthony Montello, these guys could potentially leapfrog that gap, but they are going to have to work together and do it very quickly if they want a shot at the podium. Well, I guess P1.
Yes, 15-minute races, and the first of which has 10 minutes gone now. Chrissy, I thought, he is going defensive. It's hard to tell sometimes in these cars whether or not you're lifting out to let a driver go, or you've... Oh, okay, contact between them, and I see that there's a meatball flag for Ken Housel and for Kyle Annunziata as well, so something's gone on for the two of them. Looks like a gear missed for Jack Chrissy. That'll allow Montello back through into second. Now the challenge is for them over these last 3 laps or so to make up that gap to Colin Denner. Oh, bit of contact in the rear there. Looks like Chrissy was trying to bump draft for a second, but these cars are pretty much impossible to bump draft. They come to a point at both ends, side by side through turn 1. They almost interlock wheels. Montello completing the defense there. And Jack Chrissy, all he can do is try and get set for another go when they get to the next straight. So much curb being used there by Montello. Looks like Chrissy might have to start following that line, and the car really gets unsettled over those bumps over the curbs there. We've seen plenty of drivers spin at that location already.
Yeah, definitely it is quite tough. We'll have to find out what happened to Carl Lund now in a minute, but right now Ken Housel, he appears to be having a battle with Michael Montello, despite the fact that these guys are really having a race somehow. They have managed to find a little bit of fun there. As I say that, I can hear the clattering of steel on concrete, ladies and gentlemen, as Montello and Housel drag race down the back straight.
Good racing between these two. Let's see who gets the run here. Housel up the inside into the car park that defines the final sector of this circuit, and he tries to maintain the outside. You often don't go side by side into this hairpin because there's no space. Oh, but you can, as long as you get out of the exit straight, and Ken Housel unfortunately could not do that. He spins around. The next driver to get a meatball is Tom Radford. It looks like everyone's having contact with the walls today. I looked at Kyle Annunziata and he just got into the wall very hard. I think that's the same thing that's happened to the other drivers that have meatballs to their name at the moment. Darian Taggart now trying to get back into the top 5 versus Charles Miller.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a little bit almost like, oh yeah, this car can't, you know, slide the tires, and all of a sudden like, oh, would you look at that? It can. Certainly it's, while it's on slicks and while it doesn't have a lot of power, I guess if you just weigh it up a certain way, it will let that back end kick out. And certainly maybe a couple of lessons learned here, as indeed I see 4 meatball flags on the timing tower right now. I think Rob may have a point with this one.
Yeah, indeed. So Radford, Annunziata, Housel, and Kevin Zhu, who still hasn't re-emerged from pit lane, and now it's Anthony Montello's turn to have another spin. And this happened in a way that we have seen a few times before, on the brakes, over this curb, and understeering into the end of the tyre barrier, and around he went. It's so hard to get it done there.
Well, the good news is he got Louis Alessi right ahead of him for a battle. Darian Taggart, he's still going at it as well with Charles Miller. Battles happening throughout. Michael Montello and Ken Housel separated. I believe Ken, yeah, he had that little spin, didn't he? Amy, you've got to go in there and just sort him out. Tell him to cool his jets a little bit there. We know he's quicker than this. By all means, play that wifey card and help him see reason right now. As indeed, Darian Taggart, the biggest battle going on right now, trying to make his way up to P5. Oh gosh, yes. We got more meatballs. We got a 5th one. Montello's picked up a meatball.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because that spin, unfortunately, putting him a cropper there. Darian Taggart winding on all the lock, and confirmed they are using second gear in the hairpin. That's the first time I've seen a Formula V use second in a corner in a very long time. You often don't want to, because there's a lot of space between the second and third gears in terms of ratio. You shift down. You know, I've lost count of the amount of times I've been driving the Formula V, and just by instinct, by muscle memory, I go down to second for a corner, and that's just too slow for this car. It ends up locking the drivetrain and spinning. So, yeah, interesting to see. But it is the final lap, so it looks like we're going to have this position decided.
Yeah, certainly, you got to wonder, is there going to be a certain time to make the strategic pass right now, as Darian Taggart is applying all of the pressure. Actually, hardest charger is Louis Alessi. He's up 8 positions, currently in P3 as well. But right now, this is indeed the battle. I can tell you that the gap, I believe, has come down from Colin Denner and Jack Chrissy down to about 4.3 seconds. But realistically, this is where the action is happening right now in the closing stages of this race. Colin Denner, however, not quite at the end. We'll get back to him in a minute.
Maybe a few seconds. Oh, that's contact with the wall from Darian Taggart, and looks like he might lose touch with Charles Miller there, not quite picking up the slipstream. Meanwhile, up the front, Colin Denner duly taking victory from pole position. Of course, the numbers don't tell the full story there. Jack Chrissy finishes second, Lewis Alessi in third, and a long way behind, and it looks like Darian Taggart unable to make up much time on Charles Miller there on the final lap, so it looks like that's going to be your top 5 sorted as well. We're only going to get 7 finishes from this one, actually 10 if we count Montello and Housel a lap down. So yeah, bit of a chaos-filled first race there, Zippy. Let's see how the second one goes.
Yeah, that definitely had some stuff going on, Reese. I'm actually going to go back see if we can get a quick couple of replays there about what happened at the start of that race.
Indeed. Hopefully we'll have a bit of time for that. So, yeah, coming into turn 1 side by side here, Ken Housel, first he hit that tire bundle, and that already put him a cropper, and then one of the other cars gets into him there on the way into the fountain section, and he goes tumbling over. I mean, it still boggles my mind that even happened. That I have never seen something like that happen at the fountain chicane before.
I got to admit, it's almost like it was fireworks, but Formula V's.
Yes, maybe the explosions could be a little bit brighter. So we shall see. This is going to be an interesting one for sure. We have a 3-minute warm-up that is going to be negotiated before we get into the second of our 15-minute races. We are still waiting on those results indeed, because it seems there's still a couple of cars out there completing laps. I believe Kyle Annunziata is the one still out there, but he's only got 20 seconds left. He's going to try his best to make his way around, but I think he's going to be kicked off the circuit in just a few moments, and he will celebrate that with another spin, as right there is the 0 marker reached in just a few seconds time. So a fantastic drive from Colin Denner, able to overcome the chaos, and despite briefly losing the lead early on, he will take the win by 3.7 seconds over Jack Chrissy. Lewis Alessi up from 11th to 3rd. Definitely the hard charger of that one. Charles Miller finishes in 4th, with Darian Taggart rounding out your top 5. Anthony Montello started on the front row and would be mildly disappointed with a 6th place from that one. Tom Radford made up a good amount of positions despite getting a meatball flag, up to 7th from 12th. Jake King, last car to finish on the lead lap, with Michael Montello and Ken Housel rounding out your top 10. Wojciech Hajduczek, Kyle Annunziata, Cooper Van Horn, and Kevin Zhu, unfortunately, either finishing a lap down or more, or retiring from race 1. So, I think some lessons learned from that initial run of things. Let's see if the drivers can carry anything forward into race number 2 here. Got a 3-minute warm-up to sort anything out in the car that they are not entirely happy with, but just goes to show Formula V is not as easy as it looks.
Yeah, definitely not, Reece. Certainly, I think there was a few lessons learned for these guys during that race, and indeed the warm-up will be a exploratory mission as well. Certainly, cold tyres is indeed a thing with the Formula V. Certainly, you've got to take that into account. You don't have tyre warmers. These things don't have ABS. I don't think they have any kind of technology into it, ladies and gentlemen. I think it may even be a mechanical clutch on them, ladies and gentlemen. Synchro mesh? Probably not. You probably got a double clutch to thing. I don't know. Honestly, if there's ever a time where it's Brian Shasinski or Eugene McCartini were there and present in the chat, this would be it. Certainly, we'd love to get a chat with a real-world Formula V driver. Tell you what, Reece, I'm actually going to give them a message, see if I can track down one of them in the meantime.
Yes, indeed. It'd be nice to have a brief chat to one of the drivers before we get things started. We've only got a minute left in warm-up, so it looks like we'll be getting ready for the race 2 grid very shortly. They're taking the opportunity to have a bit of a pit party, so to speak. I see L'Annunziata and Housel were having some fun going side by side in the final sector. And apart from that, drivers just putting in the mileage here. I'll check in briefly with track conditions. Not that they're really relevant in Formula V in cars this slow, but worth pointing out anyway. The track temperature, 38 degrees Celsius. So it is a pretty warm California afternoon thus far. Air temperature is 20 Celsius, so it's not the hottest day out there, but the sun is definitely hitting the racetrack and making it quite warm. So, at the very least, the tyres should be up to temperature very quickly. The other side of that coin is if you have a spin, if you slide the tyres, it will overheat much more quickly. So, 3, 2, 1, and flick. The warm-up session is over. And in just a few seconds' time, we'll find our way to the grid for race 2, and it's basically the finishing order of race 1, so no big surprises for this grid. We're going to have Colin Denner starting on pole position, of course. We'll see if he can go for the double here tonight. Jack Chrissy starting alongside him on the front row with Alessi and Miller on row 2. Darian Taggart and Anthony Montello on row 3. Tom Radford and Jake King 7th and 8th, with Michael Montello and Ken Housel rounding out your top 10. Wojciech Hajicek and Carl Annunziata on row 6. And then we have Cooper Van Horn and Kevin Zhu bringing up the rear. And it looks like they're going to get things started very quickly here. A short gridding time for race 2. Green flag flies, and we are away once again. And this time, Colin Denner absolutely nails the start. But talk about nailing it. It seems one driver is making some big moves up the field, and it's Anthony Montello. He is already up 2 positions on the way into turn 1, and he might get 2 more with him positioned there on the inside. And the gold and white machine going to go 3 wide with Lewis Alessi and Jack Chrissy. And they sort themselves out into turn 1. Now for the fountain section, and it's going to be Alessi who gets turned around there. This time no cars go airborne, but that is far from ideal for Alessi and Chrissy.
Yeah, definitely not what they had in mind. Sometimes you just got to do that low risk, high reward kind of maneuver, but don't get me wrong, it's definitely worked out. Kevin Zhu currently up 6 positions. Ken Housel up 6 positions as well. Louis Alessi, Jack Chrissy both down a massive 9 positions right now as Housel makes it 7, ladies and gentlemen, making his way onto the podium and past Darian Taggart.
Yeah, excellent job from Montello and Housel to make up those positions. I'm just reviewing the start briefly for Anthony Montello, and it looks like he didn't jump it. He just got a fantastic run and was able to get up through the gears better than anyone else. So that really goes to show his result from race 1 does not tell the full story of his pace and his chances of getting victory here. Darian Taggart, meanwhile, on the back of Ken Housel. If there's anyone I'd want to be slipstreaming off, it's Ken in a circumstance like this.
Yeah, well, certainly that chat from Amy may have indeed done the trick. He's got himself back in gear, and indeed that Formula V as well, as he is very much in contention. Colin Denner is going to hope that these guys keep fighting, but right now, as an experienced Formula V driver, I must say that you realistically, you want to do a little bit like the Jamaican bobsled team, ladies and gentlemen. Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, get on up. It is indeed bobsled time, and make that drafting happen. Try and make sure that the Chiquita car of Colin Denner, the number 73, cannot indeed make like a banana and split.
Absolutely.
Terrible puns,
7/10 of a second. Oh no, that's Michael Montello that spun around on the way up to the chicane. I wonder if there was contact there. We'll see. The battle for the top 5 continue here. Charles Miller almost getting into the back of Jake King and spins at the back. That's Kevin Zhu that's gone around. And he's straight back to the pit lane. He and Michael Montello are done. And Tom Radford did not take to the start, unfortunately. So we are already down a few cars in this race. But as you can see, we got plenty of action to spare.
Absolutely, indeed. There is battles happening throughout, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like Cooper Van Horn is getting in on a battle as well. He's got Wally right ahead of him. Are we going to see a battle here from the Bureau Art liveried machine?
Here we go then. Slipstream down the back straight of Long Beach. Not quite close enough for a move, but the car ahead does run wide. Looks like Wojciech Hajdacek is having a little bit of trouble keeping that thing on the ideal line. And he's going to go straight for the apex of the hairpin there. First to the apex is not always first to the next corner, so we'll see if the slipstream is picked up here by Cooper. Both of them are up 4 and 5 positions respectively. Colin Denner, meanwhile, under pressure for the first time in a while here. Here comes Anthony Montello, picking up the slipstream, up the inside into turn 1, easy as you like. Just needs to make sure he doesn't get understeer on the way out. And there's enough room for Denner to assert his position out of turn 1, but he sticks in behind through the fountain section. A little bit of contact between them as well. So looks like these guys are not taking any prisoners. Hajdacek and Van Horn also trading spots too.
Yeah, honestly, of all the places to make a pass, round the fountain too wide in the Formula V was not what I had in mind, ladies and gentlemen. But fair play to him. Cooper, Van Horn, and Wally absolutely getting it done there. As indeed battles happening throughout. Anthony Montello has indeed taken that lead. Now Colin Denner is looking to try and get that back. Ken Housel lurking in the background. He's managed to clear Darian Taggart by about 2.2 seconds. But can Housel find his way back to the top, ladies and gentlemen?
This is the question. Housel obviously had the worst possible start to the first race here, finding his car with no wheels on the tarmac, but now he has the chance to redeem that and take a victory. He just needs to stay in touch with our top 2, who will have all of the slipstream advantage in the world. Super late on the brakes, coming into the final hairpin, gets on the power, a little bit of correction on the way out. And yeah, it looks like he'll be just close enough to get some slipstream off Colin Denner here. Let's see if there's any change between our leaders into turn 1. Will Denner go for the move on Montello? He will pull out of the slipstream and go for the inside. There's so much momentum that you carry out of the slipstream in these Formula Vs, but it looks like Housel's going to get the most momentum of all. They're 3 wide for the lead on the way into the first corner. Denner will be first to the apex, but Housel is on the attack.
Absolutely, and certainly I can't blame him for that. This is the biggest thing about the Formula V. While it may be making sense to just stay in line, stay in order, we're for the tactical pass at the end. They are so much fun, ladies and gentlemen. You can have an absolute belter of a time. As indeed, we've got 2 battles going on. We've got this going on, and still Wally is going on there. And that's Charles Miller right behind. Charles Miller with the spin, ladies and gentlemen, as Wally and indeed Cooper Van Horn make their way past, making their way into P6 and 7. But more battling happening throughout. Housel has found his way to the front, ladies and gentlemen, indeed. But Colin Denner has fought back and regained the lead.
Oh, this is going to be a tight competition between all 3 of these guys on the podium at the moment. Colin Denner leading, Ken Housel second, Anthony Montello trailing behind in third. Just coming under 9 minutes to go in the second race here. And once again, they're going to see what they can do about attempting 3 wide. There was a good defense there from Denner, but he's gone deep, and that's going to potentially allow both Housel and Montello by. Montello is going to back out into the hairpin, and Denner wide in the same corner. He'll get on the power a bit sooner as a result, but I don't know if he has the momentum to match up to Housel on the way down the straight. I think he might, actually. He's starting to gain already. I am always astounded at how powerful the slipstream is in these cars.
Oh, it's honestly my favorite part about it. It does leave a little bit of a room for error as long as you can stay onto that draft, as they do indeed go 3 wide. The only other thing that would be better than this potentially is having legend cars in the mix as well. That would be a fantastic multi-class, ladies and gentlemen, as indeed a little bit of a brush there from the Chiquita car of Colin Denner, and it looks like Montello has regained the lead. Montello goes round.
That looks like a downshift problem there for Anthony Montello. He must have accidentally grabbed second gear there. It's usually third on the way into that section. Meanwhile, problem for Wally in the final sector here. Still fighting with Cooper Van Horn. Let's see here. Hajdacek goes very wide indeed and actually allows him through. I don't think there was anything else to talk about regarding those 2. Oh, but Anthony Montello's troubles have continued there. That's at turn 5, I believe. And he's escaped back to the pits. Montello is out, and then there were 2 at the front.
Well, let's have a quick look at the replay, see exactly what happened. That car is very definitely damaged there. He has had a hard enough smack, and fair enough, gone and parked it. I don't blame him.
Yeah, so where actually did he pick that damage up? Because, yeah, it looks like he managed to get going from his unfortunate spin at the fountain section, but then at turn 4, he took a bit too much of the curb, and that sent him on an outward trajectory to the tyre barrier, and that's why his steering was bent. So it just got worse there for Anthony Montello. That's both Montellos out. And now it's just Housel and Denner battling away at the front of the field. Jake King and Darian Taggart aren't too far behind in 3rd and 4th, but it's going to be hard to catch up to these two. They are playing the slipstream game very nicely.
It certainly is a high-speed game of leapfrog, ladies and gentlemen, as Housel is literally right on the back of that banana. The banana hammock of Colin Denner trying to run away, ladies and gentlemen. What can Housel do? The skilled, the talented driver, both of them actually. Denner with the fantastic karting career, if I remember rightly, as well. I felt sure I was supposed to sort them out a flag or something, and I needed the size. I've got the memory of an old man, ladies and gentlemen, but right now there is indeed battles happening throughout. Let's check in here and see what's going on with Darian Taggart, who's currently in P4, with Jake King up P5 as well. Up 5 positions in P3 as well. First time podium for King.
Yes, indeed. Jake King will be looking for something special here in the second race, and it looks like pace-wise he has the edge over Darian Taggart. He's just outside of optimum slipstream range, and King was the fastest car on the previous lap, a 138.6. Denner and Housel, trading spots like they are, could only manage mid-139s. So it's looking like if the battling continues at the front, King and Taggart may have a chance at getting into the mix. They're side by side for the lead on the way out of the final corner, ever so briefly. Ken Housel picks up a little more of a dose of slipstream. And the geometric, tighter, faster line across Shoreline Drive will grant him the position in front for the moment, but then up the inside again comes Colin Denner, and the trade will continue. They'll give up a little bit more time to the two behind them as a result. It looks like they're just having fun out there right now.
Yeah, honestly, that is the best kind of racing, as Jack Chrissy has indeed had a bit of an incident there. We did notice he disappeared from the timing standards. Let's see exactly what happened here to the driver of the number 6.
Oh,
just a spin.
Something that we've seen, something we've seen quite a few times before at that particular corner. Brutal curb on the inside will really unsettle the car. It's this particular location here as Wally hits the curb himself and goes for a little bit of a slide. Cooper Van Horn will maintain the position ahead. Jake King and Darian Taggart, meanwhile, it looks like Darian took another 3/10 back out of Jake King. So there's potentially going to be more to talk about in the battle for third shortly. For the moment, the weave is on for Colin Denner. Ken Housel still chasing him here. And my timing is telling me there's going to be 2 laps to go when they cross the line next. Could be 3, I'm not entirely sure. But in any case, this has been fun, and I'm looking forward to it continuing a little bit longer here, as that's very deep for Colin Denner. And Ken Housel has the run, but they're going to stay side by side here, Zippy. They are going to give up some time to King and Taggart.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, I think King and Taggart are indeed a little bit too far back to be able to get the most out of the slipstream, but the more these guys fight, the more they could come into contention. Don't get me wrong, if they collide, it could be a podium win here for Jake King, as right now Denner is ahead by about a 10th of a second, ladies and gentlemen, but it's going to be short-lived. Housel will be on the fight back already there. Turn 1 catches a little bit of that curve, almost loses the car. Certainly the weight shift in the B is indeed very noticeable. There isn't a lot to him. That nose cone almost heading back for the orbit.
A little bit of that curb. He was riding it like a horse. That's so much more curb.
Ride a cowboy.
Oh dear. Oh wow. There's going to be so much more of that, I'm sure, as they try to find every extra 10th they can around Long Beach. I love how much the track widens up in this section as well. Forces you to really think about how you enter this corner here, especially with how narrow it is on the exit. Every single event I've ever done at Long Beach, there's always someone who hits that tyre barrier on the exit of the corner. Housel picks up the slipstream, and coming into the car park, he will likely take the lead back. But how long is he going to be able to hold on to it? There's no telling which of these guys is going to cross the line first.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a strategy race there, Reese. And certainly, for a second there, I thought you were saying that we could do it all night. And I was thinking you're going to take requests as well. But don't get me wrong, I'll do my best effort in the chat if you do have any requests for a little bit of a sing-song. I may oblige, I may not, just for the spirit of giggles, ladies and gentlemen. As right now, Colin Denner, honestly, I'm not sure how Ken Hansel feels about having a banana that close to his tailpipe. But myself, I've been feeling a little bit insecure about it right now.
I think there's at least one Formula V scheme on trading paints that turns the car into a banana. Lead into turn one at the start of the final lap for Colin Denner and Ken Housel. Jake King and Darian Taggart also briefly traded spots as well for third. And it looks like a big slide for Jake King. And Taggart will come a little bit closer out of this. This is, oh man, this final lap is going to be very intense. Denner versus Housel for the lead, and it looks like Ken at least is going to be in prime position to take the lead at the end of the next long straight.
Yeah, definitely got to, oh no, we got Solanaris. I think that's Kyra Ends requesting Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not on track, but it's definitely a valid concern. We'll think about it. Certainly, yeah. Good call there, good call. We'll save it for lap one. As indeed, Ken Housel is indeed running out of time right now. You could say it's the final countdown of this second race. Europe is not the venue, though. It's going to be America. It's going to be Long Beach. As I can hear my comrade absolutely cringing at the terrible puns we've got here today. But Housel, he's going to have to make it work in the chicane. If not, it's going to be a drag race to the line. Can he get it done, ladies and gentlemen? Will the strategy pay off? I think Denner is indeed going to get away with it as they make their way down, start, finish. We may indeed get one more lap. We're going to get one more. Oh my gosh, by a second, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh! Colin Denner caught the inside wall. He's lost all of his momentum. Ken Housel's going to take the lead into the first corner. And I don't know if Denner has damage from that, but that really hurt his straight line speed. Jake King saw the white flag, and now he's under attack from Darian Taggart. Darian gets up the inside into the first turn. Meanwhile, it's getting a little bit leery between Housel and Denner.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute belter. I have a feeling Denner may have sandbagged that one a little bit there, tried to shave a little speed. I think there may be a little bit of wolf in sheep's clothing going on, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, it would be it'd be all in good sport, ladies and gentlemen. As indeed, two absolutely fantastic battles going on. Reese, do we get a third heat race for this, or just two of them tonight? Because honestly, I'm here for it. Oh.
We only get two races, unfortunately. It would be nice to get a third out of this, but that's going to be all the action we're going to have today. But there is still a little bit more to go here. Taggart now has to defend against King, and Denner still has a chance versus Housel. That's contact with the wall for Darian Taggart, and King will move up the inside into the next corner here. It looks like Denner, he caught the wall a couple of times over the course of that lap, so I don't know if he's going to have it in him to grab Ken Housel at the line. Contact in the battle for third. Darian Taggart into the wall, and Jake King is secure in third out of the final corner. Colin Denner trying his best to get the run out of the corner, but it's not going to work. Ken Housel is going to take the win here in race two. But Denner should be happy to back up his race one win with a second as well. Darian Taggart and Jake King, it looks like, are going to help each other across the line somewhat. Taggart, with big damage on the car, crawling to the line, and it looks like Jake finished behind him as a result. So a good bit of sportsmanship there.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting incident. Let's see if we can get a replay, see exactly what happened.
So, looks like this is all the way at the start of the final lap. So, I don't know how much of this we're going to be able to actually see. But, yeah, there we go. So, into the corner coming into the car park, it looks like they just ran a tiny bit too close to each other. Yeah, I mean, I can't blame King for that. It looked like Taggart was maybe going side by side a bit too early, but regardless, King, I think, felt a level of responsibility there as Taggart was struggling to even get around the final hairpin, and ultimately lifted off behind him and allowed him to get to the line in third. So very, very good to see. They almost got caught by Cooper Van Horn and Charles Miller there. Yeah, that does not look fun to drive. They probably need to visit the dentist after that.
Well, we don't have Mike Leader here today, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly that would be where we'd actually put in that joke. But indeed, we are going to be doing some results series.
We are indeed. Ken Housel takes the win by 0.2 of a second from Colin Denner. Darian Taggart, Jake King, and Cooper Van Horn rounding out your top 5 with Miller, Alessi, and L'Annunziata last finishes on the lead lap. Wally managed to finish a lap down, and unfortunately, big retirement territory. Anthony Montello, Jack Chrissy, Michael Montello, Kevin Zhu, and Tom Radford did not take to the start. So that's your field for the final race of the night, as we are joined by race 2 winner Ken Housel. Ken, you had plenty of adventures tonight. Take us back to lap 1 of race 1. You were staring at the sky and the tarmac and the sky again in very quick succession.
Yeah, didn't go well, to say the least. I went back and took a look, and I got a great start, and got through T1 with a little slide, and then Jake King got next to me, and through no fault of his, I moved over, and on my side it looked like there was enough space, and then all of a sudden I was touching wheels with him, and I pushed him into the wall, so I'm sorry, Jake, and I went flying, and yeah, chaos happened, so not great. Just sort of drove around after that. Got multiple meatball flags. I just sort of touched the nose on the wall with a spin out of the final corner and got a meatball, so not a good race one.
No, but you certainly made up for it in race 2. You were already challenging for the top 3 at the end of lap 1 after starting 10th, and it looked like you were forced to pick your way through a few incidents there.
Yeah, I got another great start on race 2, and then again some more chaos in the fountain corner, and just sort of made my way through like Days of Thunder with smoke everywhere from everybody's tires and exhausts, and sort of popped out the other side and got to race in race 2.
Yeah, you certainly did. It was a great battle with Colin Denner. Both of you were starting to flirt a bit more with the walls by the end. How close do you think you were to a spin?
I never really felt like I was in danger of a spin. I made some setup changes after race 1, and car was much more stable, but definitely touched the wall once or twice with the wheels and made some bad sounding noises, but got away with it. I think Colin had a couple incidents of the same, and then I kind of got a bad exit of the hairpin on the second to last lap, and Colin just sort of fell through the ground on the front straight, and I got a big run on him. I didn't understand what happened there, and I don't think he understood what happened there either, but yeah, just sort of fell my way there at the end.
Well, regardless, this is a non-points special event in the middle of the WDCR season. We're back to GT4 racing next week. Has this whetted your appetite in the week off?
Yeah, it was really fun to just drive something completely different. Put the nose back to the grindstone and get back into the GT4s for next week, and see if I can make up some ground on the fast guys.
Yes, indeed. Going to be a big challenge. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ken. Congratulations on grabbing the dub in race 2, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you next week.
Meanwhile, Zippy, I understand you've had a chance to catch up to Colin Denner, who took a win in a second tonight.
Well, Colin, definitely an absolute belter of a race for you this evening. You certainly were up there in race 1, managing to get the win, and then race 2, a narrow miss there at the win, but certainly some fantastic battling. Tell us how it was for yourself taking on the Formula V here today at Long Beach.
Yeah, going into it, I actually wasn't exactly planning on doing this race. I just was able to get the time to. But I do really enjoy Formula V, and I do really enjoy Long Beach. And race 1 turned out a lot better than I expected. I didn't really expect to go pole, and then I don't know exactly what happened behind me. I just know it was a lot, and it was able to just let me create a big gap, and I was able to drive it away. And then in that second race, I had a great battle with Ken the whole time. I think netcode is what ended up taking out Anthony, but it also was probably on my fault. I wanted to give it back to him, but I think he was sideways and in the wall, so I couldn't exactly do that. But it was fun racing. I couldn't hold Ken off in the end, but it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, certainly I do have to wonder if we're going to see a Formula V season next from the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League. Certainly it was an absolute belter. I've always said, ladies and gentlemen, that sometimes the slower cars produce the best racing. Certainly the Formula V did indeed deliver on that. But Colin, if my memory serves me right, and don't get me wrong, I do have old man memory, you're out there in the karting, I believe. You and I think it's your brother. We've got a bit of free time today. I want you to absolutely, for lack of better words, plug the living stuffing out of your go-karting expeditions right now.
Well, right now we're at the tail end of our season, just wrapping up 2025, our club season and everything. Wasn't exactly able to do as much national and divisional racing in our series Cup Cars North America, but we're planning to do more of that in 2026. We're trying to grow our team, Famed Wolf Racing, and go racing on the East Coast. Hopefully spread it across a little more down to Florida if we can, and up north to New York, maybe even out west a little bit. But it's all a growing process, a learning process with our new team owner, and even just my brother and I bouncing ideas off each other. We've had some pretty good success at our recent club races. My kart is most certainly on its way out. Frame has seen better days. This season has not been kind to it. I did get a really big win in it, but it also had quite a few bad crashes at my track. My local track that I race at is not forgiving. If you get run wide, you get run into barriers. It's not curbs and grass, and can't really rejoin safely. It's you're racing, and then it's done in the snap of a finger. So that unfortunately, due to a product of hard racing in go-karts with a bunch of young guys, the kart, reap the repercussions of that. So it's been rebuilt a couple of times, and I think it's on its way out. So we're looking to try and replace that. Other than that, my brother's on some really fine machinery. Our team's on some really fine go-karts, MGM go-karts, and we're backed by some good guys. And like you've been saying, hopefully we can get some Pit Road Production stickers on our stuff and support you guys as well.
Well, certainly having successful drivers representing Pit Road Productions, it's not going to be me doing that, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm going to sub that one out to Colin Denner, indeed. And it sounds like he does indeed need a Goog. I'll spit it out in a second. He does indeed need a Goog. Reese, can you spit out what I'm trying to say?
Third time's the charm.
He needs a new go-kart frame. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to help with that, let us know in the comments. We'll hook you up with Colin. Don't get me wrong, I don't think you're going to have one of these in your ward. Actually, we're car guys. You probably do have one of these in your closet, and we will forgive you for that. Your wife won't, but we will indeed forgive you for that. And top tip, get the wheels out of the dishwasher before she gets home, but leave a couple of dishes in there just so it's not obvious what you've been doing. I think Amy might still be watching, so Ken, you better move quickly, just on the off chance. But certainly, Colin, it's been an absolute belter to see you here in the V. Certainly, it sounds like your go-karting local track is similar to Formula V's at Long Beach, and we do wish you the best of luck by all means. And looking forward to seeing you back next week in the GT4s. But Colin, I gotta ask, we keep seeing you and your brother more in the chat. When are we going to get your brother in the race as well?
It's a double-edged sword. We were very, very graciously gifted the simulator. So to race two people on one sim is kind of difficult. So it's more a process of trying to build a second one for him to race. When we first started racing, we raced in a series called SCRS, and they did an amateur and pro division, and Ryan raced in the AM division, and I raced in the pro division.
Nice.
We split it up pretty nicely. But we haven't found a league to do that since. And I've also since moved out of my house, so now it's even farther away from him. So he races.
I'm hearing excuses. I am hearing excuses, ladies and gentlemen. We need to try and find a way. If you're thinking about upgrading your rig, I'm going to advertise Podium 1 right now because those guys are awesome. So if you're going to upgrade, get Podium 1. And then if you're selling your old gear, Colin Denner will very happily take that at a very reasonable price. But
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same with the frame. Same with the go-kart frame.
Yep, anything. Absolutely shameless plug there by Colin Denner with a little bit of help from myself. But we are indeed going to leave you to it, sir. But certainly wishing you good health. Stay healthy, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you're wearing the rib protector and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, top tip, don't eat a McDonald's before a race or something. While you may drive quicker because you need to, pop the brown or something, it's not the best way for concentration.
No,
Eat healthy, ladies and gentlemen.
Not advised.
It sounds like he's done that before, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to say what I was thinking, but you get the idea, ladies and gentlemen. But indeed, that is going to pretty much wrap it up for us. Indeed, Colin, anybody as well, before we let you go, any quick shout-outs before we bring the show to a close tonight?
Always my girlfriend for watching, my mom and dad for watching at home, my brother for watching at home, my Uncle Decker up in Long Island watching, my girlfriend, or my fiance watching, my fiance's dad at home watching, everybody watching, and of course you guys, thank you for your time and everything you guys do.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just to clarify as well, Colin's girlfriend is indeed his fiance. While he is a complete stud, there is no second person. I just want to put that out there. Colin, I take cash. Check's not going to work, buddy, but we are indeed going to let you go before I indeed put my foot in it, or indeed Colin's. But what an absolute belter. Ladies and gentlemen, driver of the number 73, and indeed a talented go-kart as well, Mr. Colin Denner.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to bring things to a close for tonight's show. And Zippy, I think you've put your foot in it so far that you're going to be sitting on it pretty shortly. This is, I think this is going to be a good opportunity for us to end it here and get ready for next week's event. Don't forget, we resume regularly scheduled programming once more next Thursday evening. We're back in the GT4s, but this was a nice little sidestep into Formula V action at Long Beach. I'm Reese Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box. A big thanks to the whole crew at the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League and all associated sponsors, partners, and supporters for helping us to get this show off the ground. We're Pit Road Productions. We'll see you next time.